What's going on, guys? It's Jack. We are back again with our Legion Holy Priest Guide, and I'm going to be making it quick to the point with a lot of the explanations and long, very verbose explanations going to be in my written guides. They're in the description if you'd like to check them out, but let's get into it. Holy Priests are now finally getting the niche that they have deserved. They're getting a much-needed facelift. Their holy words are now a focus in their rotation. Serenity is becoming immensely powerful, and it is now the strongest single target heal in the game without a hefty cooldown, so excluding Lay on Hands. It has only a 1 minute cooldown. Sanctify is a AoE burst heal, similar to its version Sanctuary, but now it is just a lump sum heal. Your heal, your flash heal, your prayer of healing are now more support spells that reduce the cooldown of both of your holy words, depending on which one it is. So casting Flash and Heal reduces the cooldown of Serenity, while casting Prayer of Healing reduces the cooldown of Sanctify. In terms of talents, this will be the optimal talent pick that you will have for raids. Enlightenment and Trail of Light have some flexibility depending on if you're going with a more single target build or a more AoE build. Otherwise, Angelic Feather has some competition with Desperate Prayer if you're not going to be very mobile in an encounter. Symbol of Hope is going to be mandatory for progression. Light of the Naru will be good for 5-mans and for any kind of ranking and parsing content and things like that. Surge of Light is kind of the only very good pick in this window. Divinity is, again, probably the only really good competitive pick in this window. Divine Star can be pretty good for leveling, and maybe if you're needing the extra damage in a 5-man. Apotheosis has some competition with Circle of Healing, but Apotheosis, our holy form, that they finally gave to us, which I love, is super competitive. It's extremely strong, top-notch. So you'll be having that definitely for leveling, definitely for 5-mans, and it'll have some competition with Circle Heal in the raid environment. Now going on into stats, Mastery is going to be king for you. There's Absorbs have been taken out of the game, well, largely, and it's so nice. We all thank you, Blizzard. Mastery, then Critical Strike, then Haste, then Versatility. Mastery is just so potent now that we're focusing on more direct healing. Critical Strike, again, has some very good synergy with more direct healing, and it also synergizes very well with our Mastery, just providing bigger and bigger hots at the end. Haste doesn't really have much synergy with anything now because Renew is less of a focus, like I said, and Versatility, as always, has been pretty crap. So, in terms of consumables and gems, you're going to be focused all on as much Mastery as you really possibly can. In terms of your artifact trait, or your artifact tree, the first 13 ranks, and you see how many ranks I purchased in the top left corner, the first 13 ranks that you get cost the exact same combined as the 14th rank. So if you are having any alts and you're planning on having alts, or sorry, off specs rather, you want to put 13 ranks in your main spec, then 13 ranks in your off spec, and then you can go from there in terms of which one that you're going to be upgrading the most. My recommendation is to go up the right side with Invoke the Naru, Follower of the Light, Holy Hands, Reverence, Words of Healing. You're waiting until raids come out before you take Renew the Faith, so you'll hold off on that for now. You'll take Hallowed Ground, you'll take Power of the Naru, you will instantly take your gold in Blessing of Ture, you'll go for Say Your Prayers, you'll take Holy Mending, you'll go down to Serenity Now, and then you'll take Light of Ture. The remaining ones that you're going to be skipping is Guardians of the Light, Focus in the Light, and Trust in the Light. You can skip those for whenever. Holy Guidance you can take probably once that you've taken Light of Ture. This is just kind of when you get to it. Now, the big thing is playstyle. Playstyle has changed so much, so we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about that, and I'll give you some examples to go along with it. Alright, playstyle is the name of the game in Legion. The biggest thing that you are going to be focusing on is really how you are choosing to play the game and how you are forming your rotation around what is going on with your raid group. Holy is in such a unique position where you're able to fill in kind of the blanks, and you're able to fill them in very, very effectively with what your raid needs. So if you don't have a lot of tank healing, you're able to focus very, very hard on single target keeping the tanks up, things like that. If they have some lack on AoE healing, you can fill in those slots. If you need a little bit of both, you can do that too. You have so many options. There's so much that you're able to get out of it. It's fantastic. A general priority that you're going to want to have is using Serenity and Sanctify on cooldown as much as possible, keeping Renew on your tanks, using Prayer of Mending on cooldown, and then you get into the gray area. And the gray area is going to be more of, when I need to, I will be casting this or that. So, if you're talented into either Halo, Divine Star, or Circle Heal, you'll obviously be using those on cooldown. Flash Heal and Prayer of Healing are more going to be focused on when you are definitely reducing the cooldown of your appropriate holy words, and if you have other buffs that you're able to synergize with. So, Power of the Naru is an artifact trait that increases the healing done of Prayer of Healing after you cast Sanctify. So you have this nice 15-second buff for Prayer of Healing alone that you'll be able to use together. So if you're in Apotheosis form and you're casting a lot of your holy words, you'll be getting Divinity Uptime, which is a healing buff after you use your holy words. You'll be able to get Divinity Uptime, and you'll be able to have the potential to proc Power of the Naru, and you'll be able to kind of synergize a number of these buffs together to be pumping out a lot of healing. And this can be so effective, and it's really important to be tracking any kind of extra buffs that you're getting, because you have buffs not only for your AoE, like Power of the Naru, but you also have Blessing of Todai for your single target, that buff, that by using single target healing, you're buffing all of your healing. So, taking advantage of all of the buffs that are around you, and as well as tracking them effectively, is going to be so important. Heal is going to be your filler when you are not moving, when you don't have to move. Renew, you're going to only maintain on the tanks, and if you have to move and you have to cast something, because you always should be casting, that's when you'll actually be casting Renew. From there, you're looking at when you are able to be casting large amounts of spells and that cost a lot of mana. The biggest thing is certain encounters in Legion are going to have a lot of mana regen mechanics. Cenarius, Tichondrius, and Xavius are good examples of those fights. And it's very important to know when you're going to be getting the bonus mana and how much you're getting, so you know how much you can be burning through. As an example, Tichondrius, you go into a downstairs phase, kind of similar to Gorfiend, where you pick up a little blob, and the blob, gives you a ton of mana. So knowing precisely how much it is, burning down that much mana using either very heavy single target heal or very high amounts of AoE healing is very important. Now, one of the biggest things is keeping in mind your cooldowns, and weak auras are going to be extremely important for that. I'll have my stream in the description as well, because I'll have a whole list from a number of creators who have made weak auras that I'm using or planning to be using in Legion. They are super important. If you get one add-on, get weak auras. They are absolutely key. An example of maximizing your playstyle to the fullest, depending on what is going on around you, really would be fights like Tichondrius or fights like Cenarius, where you can count on the mana regen and who you're going to be standing on or where you need to be standing to receive it. So in Tichondrius, for instance, you need to be behind pillars at certain points during AoE damage. And knowing how much damage is dealt in that period, and because Holy has a lot less movement, you have to be able to time properly. Oh, how much time do I have before I actually need to get behind a pillar to hide? How much time do I have before this person will die from AoE damage? Because people are still taking AoE even when they're avoiding the brunt of it. So being able to maximize that properly, keeping an eye out for your buffs, are all super important. It's a little bit more micromanage heavy than it has been in previous expansions, but there's also a ton more depth to it, where you're knowing this is exactly when I'm going to get Sanctify off cooldown, this is when I'm going to get Serenity off cooldown. I need a bigger boost for single target healing, so if I have both of them on cooldown, I'll use Sanctify first, get some healing out of it, but I'll also have Divinity So now my Serenity is going to be doing so much more healing. Focusing on a number of these things, looking at your buffs and how you're best able to proc them. Whereas Power of the Naru, like I said, is reliable every single time you use Sanctify, once you get the artifact trait, of course. Whereas Blessing of Ture is a 20% chance if you crit. So it can be a little bit less reliable, but knowing when you get it, and the huge boost to your healing, because it's a 20% boost to your healing, is so ridiculously strong, so that when you see it, maybe you'll hit Divine Him a little bit quicker. Maybe you'll use a Holy Word really quick, so you'll have Divinity and Blessing of Ture and Divine Him. Maximizing these little buffs, maximizing these little healing increases is going to be so key. And working with your raid as much as possible to find where you best can fit in is going to be absolutely imperative. Of course, if you guys would like a very much longer version, I have my written guide in the description. Otherwise, I hope you guys have found this helpful. If you have any kind of questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter, on YouTube, my Twitch stream where I'll be streaming my progression, the whole shebang. If you guys would like me to look over your logs, I have a link to my website where I'll do all the log reviews, completely free and no charge or anything like that. And I hope you enjoyed this video. The disc guide will be on its way as well, and I'll catch you all later.